Good afternoon, everyone. I take this opportunity to thank the Lord for being with us all, women internationally, and also thank the Lord for the spared life and for this convention that we are having. So before I start my presentation or testimony, I'll have to introduce myself. My name is Tabitha Makana. I'm Kenyan, living in Nairobi. I have a husband. His name is Jeffrey, and my grown children, and we thank the Lord that He has brought us this far. Topic of my subject is a miracle. It involves my son called Donald, who is the last born, and this is how it goes. Donald being our last born, plus his brother and his two sisters, we sent them to the UK for studies. This school called Stanborough Park School, and we were happy that we've sent our children to study abroad. And by that time, they were young. This was 1998. And being young, they were unable to cope with the life abroad. So I had to move to be with them as a mother, which was really a difficult decision to make, but I had to. So being there with them, they had to move from boarding school and for us to have a home to stay as family so that they can have mother around, because life there was really hard. They didn't have mothers cooking. The weather was different from where they came from. Racism was another major challenge, but see, now I had to go and be with these children. In 2000, my son Donald started having a backache, which we really did not know what was causing it, but I took him to hospital, was attended, and was given some medication, which were I think, painkillers. After a few months, he felt better and continued with school. And after a few months, again, backache. Again, back to hospital. In and out of hospital, it came to a point now when it was 2002, when now Donald started, he's a tall boy and started bending, walking, bending, coming home when from the door he's coming through and was leaning on the wall and on seats to come to sit. And that's when it dawned on me that this is not an easy disease or condition, and I had to take him again back to hospital. They did all the checkups and could not really diagnose what it was. Again, he was given painkillers, and I took him back home. Now, going to school was becoming a problem. He could not walk properly. and slowly he started losing memory and sight. I remember when in the kitchen I could send him, can you check the time on the telly? And he used to go near the screen to check the time. And then I thought, now things are not right here. Again, back to hospital, could not diagnose the problem. It came to a point now, like end of 2003, he could not walk anymore, remember anything, even go in the bathroom and shower. And here I am taking him to hospital and nothing is being seen. Now I had to take him to be admitted. They went through a process of tests and could not really diagnose the problem. Again, they repeated and said, now we will have to do the neurological or tests to see what it is really. And before he became sick, he was a rugby player. And the doctors suspected that he may have injured his spine, and that could cause a nervous breakdown or something. After checking, or doing all the tests, they said they can see a demyelination in the brain, but not really sure whether that could cause or bring him to the stage where he was. So they said they will have to refer him to another hospital for more tests. And by that time, Donald was down completely. He had lost sight, lost memory. He could not feed himself, could not even remember what he had for breakfast. So before he was referred, they had to discharge him um, back home. And at home, I had now to stop on what I was doing to make sure I take care of him. Then he was referred later to this hospital in Hereford. Hereford is at the boundary of Wales and England. A friend of mine at church had to offer herself with the husband and drove me with my husband to Hereford, where he had to have an admission from now London to Birmingham. This doctor checked on him and referred him to Birmingham, because Birmingham and London are different cities. So he could not just go to that hospital not being referred. He referred him to this hospital called Queen Elizabeth Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. They also did their tests, many of them. Even they tried HIV to see whether he had that, but he did not have it. So now what this doctor, old Dr. Davis, what he did, a neurosurgeon, he said that the infection was growing so fast and was, going to kill the boy, because he had come to a point where he could not move at all. You have to take him off bed, feed him, wash him, take him back to bed again. So he said, because the infection is growing so fast and going to kill the boy, we will do a plasma exchange. So me being in a foreign country, it was not really easy for me. But I held on to hope and had faith on God that he will heal my son. So after 2 plasma exchange, he, improved a bit. He could sit now and even talk. And then we saw progress after plasma exchange. And again, after a few months, he went back to where he was, down completely. Now, Queen Elizabeth hospital said, now we are unable to control this infection. What we will do, we will again refer him to another hospital or for more tests, or to see whether they can really find a diagnosis. So they sent him to Northampton, a hospital called Mosley Hall Hospital. Those hospitals are just still in my head because they become part of my home. I would, wherever he was referred to, I had to go and look for a place to stay and make sure he eats in the morning, lunch, and evening. He had, as he had lost everything, he could feed breakfast for 2 hours. Putting food in his mouth, a spoon would take 15 minutes or so. Sometimes when I put food in the mouth, I could just tap his cheeks to remind him that I have put. Now chew, chew, and you now swallow. Not knowing that what I am doing and seeing my baby suffering, it also affected me. But I will talk about my story when I'm finishing. Mostly whole hospital, the doctors also, the neuro or logical doctors tried, and they could not really find out what this was. And they said, no, here we can't, we are unable to. Now we send him to another hospital. They again referred him to a hospital in Northampton again, a place where kind of a hospital and part of it a care home, to this place called Kemsley East. There he was taken care of for a few months, and then they said also, no, we are not going to be able to manage this condition. He sent him to City Square Hospital, now back to London. He stayed for like a month or so. Again, City Square Hospital did not diagnose his problem. They referred him again to Royal Free Hospital. Royal Free Hospital also tried and were unable. Now, when you come to a point like that as a mother, you really don't know where to stand. I did pray, cried, didn't have anything more to say, but could just look at my son and hold on to hope, knowing that one day God will make a way. And I remember praying and telling God, Lord, please heal my son for your glory. And also challenged God that he forgives my sin as human being, and for his glory to heal my son and to take me back home where I came from. Because back home, family members, some lost hope, and they were saying, oh, if you give him 2 weeks or a month, he will come in a coffin. So for me, that really hurts, but I just said, those are blessings. They are, sending back to me. And that made me challenge God, saying, Lord, my son is not going back home in a coffin. I know you will heal him. And God does listen to prayers. He did listen to a prayer that I prayed, a sinner like me. I went through a lot. I had lost hope at times, and holding on to hope, and I almost lost my son, but I had faith that he will be healed. There are times my daughter, my oldest child, would come and also help me feed him, stay with him, but it wasn't for long because she was also schooling. So in 2006 and before 2006, now from Kemsley East, Royal Free, City Square, he was again sent to another hospital, referred to City, there's a City Hill Hospital in Watford, not far from Watford, Holywell Hospital. Holywell tried. And remember, when I am taking my son to these hospitals where he's referred to, I have to come back again to the local hospital at Watford to again wait for another referral to be mentioned so that he can be taken there. It wasn't an easy journey. Going back and forth drained my spirits and my strength, but I kept holding on to God. I remember a doctor, one of the doctors told me, your son is going to die. When he's 40 years, if it happens that he goes to 40 years, by then he was like 20, 23 years, he will have a mind of an old 80-year-old man. And that really hurt me. Luckily, my husband was there and had to encourage me and speak to me. But anyway, that also, I got over it. And another doctor tells me, you need to take your son home, but taking him home because of the condition in the brain, he will not fly back home. Or if he flies, you'll have to look for a doctor, which is very expensive. A doctor who will accompany him back to your country, Kenya, and then a return ticket. It's going to be very expensive. And I just said, when that time comes, God will provide. This doctor who was saying that my son will die, I should not even be holding on to hope and having faith, I told him, I know there is nothing impossible with God. He looks at me and says, what is that you're saying? And some of these doctors don't really believe in God. I said, God knows that my son will be healed. And he looked at me and said, you are bewitched by a black book called the Bible. I said, I better be bewitched by a black book called the Bible than be bewitched by anybody else, you know? So those are also negative comments, but I just kept holding on to God. Now, after Holywell, the doctors now said, we can't diagnose the problem. We can see that he has ADEM and multiple sclerosis. So it's not either multiple sclerosis or acute disseminated encephalomyelitis. It's in between here. Now, if we are not sure what it is, we are not sure what to give. So what we will do, we will send your son to a care home. He doesn't have to stay in the hospital. This is a waste of time and space. Take your son to a care home. I said, now, a care home, you know, we always, they went ahead and looked for a care home themselves and sent him to this place called Potter's Bar. And now, what I did at Potter's Bar, they did not allow me to stay nearby, so I had to commute every morning to this place, Potter's Bar, to see, to feed him in the morning or to check on whether he has been fed, because there are times they said they were giving steroids and medication on an empty stomach. If I missed a day at the evening, if I say I want to talk to my son, I would ask him, have you eaten anything? No, I haven't. It's just only a glass of milk. By that time, he would remember. So for me, it was, a step up that my son will be well one time. So giving medication on an empty stomach also has side effects. And now I had to make sure I commuted in the morning, carried my lunch, and had my breakfast, went to be with my son, feed him at lunch, and then evening, after feeding him in the evening, he gets his medication supplements and all this medication he was being given, and then commute back home. This took a while. Now, during that time at the care home, we had to talk as family to bring our son, or my son. I had to talk to my husband, our son, back to Kenya. So since the doctor said that the damage in the brain and the height of flying will kill Donald in the plane, it wasn't possible. So they said, give him now maybe a few months to see what, the improvement. If there is an improvement, then they will recommend him to fly back to his country, Kenya. So 2005 now, end of it, or going to 2006, they said we have to wait for a while. We did really wait, not for a while even. It took a whole year. So since I was the one taking care of him, feeding him, giving him, it came to a point where I could even know the names of the medication and the prescription and all these things. And they said, now he is not really badly off, or we will have to send him to Kenya with the nurse. And another doctor comes up and says, the mother looks like she's been acquainted with what's happening around the hospitals and what's happening with her son. She is able to take her son back home. That was a prayer answered. So we planned 2006 December, we flew back home in Kenya. Arriving in Kenya, we had to also look for a neurologist who was really to monitor on what's happening on, on Donald. We found this doctor called Dr. Amayo, who is a neurologist at the this place. I don't have my mind. He looked at the reports that doctors had written from England. If you've taken your son to all these hospitals where we send our people to go and be attended, that manage. He said, there is nothing that we can do because from the report, everything has been done. Now what you have to do, take your son home and feed him, make sure he has physiotherapy, water therapies, feed him well and let him do whatever he after he had said this, and at least this doctor was frank, or he told me the truth, that I could not do anything other than the other doctors had to Dr. Amayo at General Accident House. So now, after that, my sister, who had done a medical missionary course, told me that, my sister, you don't have to waste your time, money, and all these things you're doing. Just try medical missionary. And for me, I had heard it before, but didn't know really what medical missionary was. She lives up country, and one of the medical missionaries from this church called New Life, and his name Robert Kangethe, who came to where we had rented a house in Westlands, and he wrote down the regime on how we should start natural remedies on Donald. That was now 2006 December, starting 2007 January. And after he did that, I had to go and look for all these vegetables and herbs and fruits, and started immediately in January. End of December, beginning January 2007, sorry. So it wasn't an easy regime for me to do, but thank God, when you're back here, you can have, helpers who can help you around. So I had 2 houseboys to help me. Water therapies, waking up in the morning, starting with the lemon. I'm not going to say really from morning up to evening what we used to do, but it was majorly on lemon on an empty stomach. After that, a bathtub hydrotherapy, and as garlic crushed and squished in that water for half an hour. And after that, having uji or porridge, that's the one which is high in calcium, uji, and then from there fruits mixed with antioxidants, the nuts and grains, and then from there lunch. I used to work that from since that 6 o'clock to another 6 o'clock without stopping. And there are times after 15 minutes you give water. After half an hour you're giving fruits. After half an hour you doing something else. So, and there is a vegetable juice that I had to mix 23 types of vegetables and boil them and have the juice, and then from there that water would mix again with the raw garlic, raw onion, cucumber, put some sunflower oil, coconut oil, olive oil, all these things. And then after a month, Donald could not get himself from bed before that. But now he got himself out of his bed, sat himself on the wheelchair, and wheeled himself to the sitting room. In the living room, sitting room, some say sitting room or living room, we had to look at him and scream, and because he had fallen a few times and hurt himself. Why we kept asking him, why did you have to do this? You know you will fall, you know, and hurt yourself. But we again stopped to think, how did he make it? So now we just saw these things working, and we looked at each other and said, medical missionary is working. No, we kept doing that. After 3 months, Donald stood and took 3 steps. Now, this is 2007. We did that 2008. Took him for a walk, holding both his hands, one person from that other side, left side and right, and then take him for a walk and bring him back again, sit. He used to, we used to push him on a wheelchair, and one of us sitting, pushing a wheelchair where he feels tired, he sits again, we wheel him, he walks. We kept on doing that. 2007, all of it, 2008, all of it, and 2009. 2009, 2010, I'm cutting my long story short. 2011, my sister who suggested about medical missionary advised me on herbs. So I did. There is a mild neem, aloe vera, and others, many more others. I kept boiling these herbs. Another one called Carissa spinarum. You get the roots and boil plus the mild neem. And when my husband saw these things, he did not believe really that this could heal Donald. So he said, you better stop boiling this mitishamba, these wild roots, and they are not going to do anything. I said, no, I will try. So I boiled these roots for a whole year. And since that time, Donald now was able to walk by himself. We have to remember that we kept on this regime of medical missionary, going on plant-based totally. We stopped the processed foods, the animal foods, everything. Now we went on totally plant-based diet. And then after that year, 2012 now is here. Donald now can walk alone on his 2 feet. And my topic, as you know, is our miracle. For us, this is a miracle. We thought we were going to lose Donald, but now Donald is here, walking on his 2 feet and doing a few things for himself. Now, while doing these things on Donald, that's the time now I just said, it's wise for me to go and learn to be a medical missionary. And before I could make a move, there is this one of the medical missionaries called Betty Gabantu, who had done medical missionary at Got Kayayo in Migori, being conducted by Mama Musa, Dorcas Ayodo plus Jim Ayodo. She explained to me on how to go about it and gave me a number to call Jim Ayodo. I called Jim and had to book for an appointment to go to see this place and really what are these medical missionaries doing. So what I did, I had to decide to just move with my son plus the carer to Got Kayayo. Even at church, when I said, church, I am going to Got Kayayo for a medical missionary training, some of them looked at me and thought I'd gone mad. And before that, there is another lady at church who said, don't you know this is African engineering? You should take this child to Amganga and get healed. We've seen these problems, many of them, and they've been healed. I said, I have an heavenly engineer. If I take my son to an African engineer, God is not the one who is going to heal him or healed him. I will know I have gone to Amganga, and Amganga that's now losing faith and believing in the evil forces of the enemy. And this lady raised up her hands and said, uh, uh, I don't have anything more to say, Tabitha. Now, no, you don't understand what I am saying. I said, you are the one who is not understanding what I'm saying. So I decided I was going to go to Kayayo to do medical missionary training, and packed my things, and my husband did not really understand why. Sorry, am I being listened to, or?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I had to move to Gotkayayo. So for those 6 months, but it was on and off, because there are times, because of taking care of my son at Gotkayayo, there are those who used to go out with the care. But there are a few times I also went for mission. least to experience how it was and how I could do it also when I'm on my own. So now, to cut my long story short, I don't know whether it's going to be short really. Um, um, 2014, when I had come back home, continued with medical missionary work and doing the things of herbs and raw vegetables, raw fruits, and doing totally plant-based. Now Donald was back to, to his 2 feet, completely, and he came to a point where at 2016 we had to go back to England for his brother's graduation. So when we arrived in England, there are those who looked and thought we're seeing a ghost. It's not Donald. Some, when we went to church, to our church, Watford Town Church, there's a lady who came and held Donald's hands and said, Donald, is this really you? Am I seeing the real Donald? There are those who knew Donald was going to die, but now here Donald is alive and on his 2 feet in a suit for his brother's graduation. And I thank and glorify my Heavenly Father because this is a miracle to our family, a miracle to my church, and Donald is a living testimony. During this time that Donald was sick, as I had mentioned before, I didn't know that this was affecting me because of the stresses that I went through taking care of Donald. And at 2002, I lost my father. 2003, I lost my sister and my other brother. And when I'd lost my father, we went for his, burial. And on our way back to the town where we lived in Nakuru, an accident, and my sister died on the spot. All these things affected me, and I became diabetic. That's another story or testimony for another time. Being a diabetic is not also a small thing for those who know what diabetes is, but it's a type 2 diabetes. And briefly, the doctor started me on glucophage, later on the micron, and again, because my tummy couldn't take those, and later to Galvas. Galvas made my heart painful, and the doctor had to stop. Now I had to really try to do only the herbs, raw fruits and raw vegetables, and knowing which fruits to take, plus the assistance of my doctor. And now I am off medication, and I'm doing exercise, herbs, and controlling this with diet. What I want to finish with saying is that God has provided abundant means for successful warfare against the evil that is in the world. The Bible is the armory where we may equip for the struggle, and the shield of faith must be in our hand, and the helmet of salvation on our brow. This is from Proverbs 12, verse 21. If it were not for prayer and holding on to faith and believing that my son will be healed, I don't know where I would be. But I thank him that he allowed this for a reason. If it were not for my son's sickness, maybe I would not have become a medical missionary. And another thing is that the strength of Christ was in prayer. He went alone and pled with his Father for guidance and help. through Christ's enabling grace, we are to do the same. That's from James 5, verse 15 to 16. I used to read a lot and found this 2 Chronicles 20 of great help, where King Jehoshaphat feared and did not sit on the fear, and I had to seek the Lord in prayer, and I had to fast and go in sackcloth. You know, there are things that can happen when we go in prayer. While the Lord has not promised his people exemption from trials, he has said, I quote, as thy days, so shall thy strength be. If you are called to go through the fiery furnace, for his sake, Jesus will be by your side, even as he was with the faithful three in Babylon. Jesus has been by my side. If it were not for him, I would not be where I am and being able to do what I am doing. Christ has all knowledge gained in this life, which will fit us to live with the angels in heaven, is knowledge worth gaining. Live to be a blessing to others. I have blotted out as a thick cloud thy transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins. Return unto me, for I have redeemed thee. That's from Isaiah 44, verse 22. Being a medical missionary, I have helped a few. I say a few, not really many, but many, yes. My whole church knows that medical missionary works. This is a church of 7,000 people. And some have sent those who have problems, ailments, and these problems to me to advise them on lifestyle change. There are those who have helped an elder who was going to have his middle finger amputated, giving herbs and doing charcoal poultices. He was healed and his finger now functions. Another elder, his thumb had become gangrenous and had this big wound, and he was told that he will be amputated. And I also took him through this healing process of going plant-based, having nuts and grains, doing charcoal poultices, and he also got healed. Another 3 ladies who are going to have their knees amputated, they had diabetic wounds and they are healed. And there's a brother-in-law who was sent home from hospital after staying in hospital for a month, had he's hypertensive and had a wound and was going to have his foot amputated. And now the family knows that I keep talking about medical missionary. They say, now we want to see whether your medical missionary can work. So what I did, I just did charcoal poultices, Himalayan salt, and lifestyle change. And do you know, my brother-in-law didn't have his foot amputated. The whole region knows that medical missionary can work, and I praise and glorify my God in heaven. It's not me, it's him. Through me, my family now has benefited, and my husband is happy that I became a medical missionary. And I wouldn't have come this far if it were not, or without the support and encouragement of my medical missionary president, who taught me on how to become intelligent in regard to disease, cause, prevention and cure. I thank the Lord for Jim Ayodo, his wife Dorcas, and I do pray for them wherever they are and working tirelessly to improve the lives of people worldwide. May the Lord bless us all as we continue to fight the good fight of faith. And for those who may be wavering, just know that medical missionary works. And it's not those herbs alone that I do use these days. I have a pharmacy in my store in the house. If someone is complaining of ulcers, I know what to do. Headache, I know what to do. And my family has benefited. Teaching and healing and the healing of natural remedies, I do teach. I've been called to a few places, to 2 of the universities and church, teaching the women, doing this in my neighborhood, and I'm still doing it. And plus, you know, doing evangelism at the same time. And we are told that us going to people and taking ourselves to their level as Jesus did, meeting their needs, then we'll now a way of evangelizing and telling people that Jesus is during this COVID-19 times. Don't have to have fear. Just have faith in God. And when you know you fed yourself well and your immune system is strong, I don't think this COVID-19 is going to, you know, bring us down. Just that we have fear. People have fear. For me, I really don't know. I don't have fear, and I keep encouraging those around me have fear. Of course, taking precautions, what you know, or the herbs and food baths. Those also help strengthening our immune system. Let me finish by saying that may the Lord bless us all, and that is my testimony and the topic, which was our miracle. That is a miracle in our family, and there is not even been a miracle to our family alone. It's been a miracle in my church, miracle, you know, all around me, because now my son can be able to do things here and there, and is healed. For me, he is healed, though he did not completely get healed. There are things still we keep on helping to do for him, but I thank the Lord that he has brought him this far and keeping him alive, and for family to see that he is around us, and this is the miracle that our family um, um, has experienced. In this Christian life or Christian walk, education never stops. I'm still learning on many things about medical missionary. I haven't come to a place where I will say that I've finished. No, the learning never stops. So thank you for listening to my testimony, and thank you, Dorcas and Jim, wherever you are. May the Lord bless the work of your hands, bless you with your children, bless the medical missionaries worldwide, more especially women. Women, you know, when woman has power, when you have those natural remedies and know how to do these things around your home, you will help your family, not help your family alone. You'll have to help yourself, and also the community around you, the church, and the world at large. May the Lord bless you and strengthen you during this time of COVID-19, and knowing that whatever has a beginning has an end. It will come to an end, and we continue with life. Thank you very much. Bye.